Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast number 292. I'm Ben, and with me here today is Dave. Just Dave. I don't have a special nickname for you today. It's just Dave. Hello.
Hi. I like that. Maybe that's
Yeah?
the new nickname. Is Just Dave. I've been
Just
thinking about a new Twitch handle, so maybe Just Dave.
Just Dave.
Be it, you know.
Why do you need a new Twitch handle?
I don't know. Just
Worried about your old
change
one?
it up every now and then, and
Yeah. I was thinking about making my Twitch handle Dave Lamkin.
well, have I got
So,
news for you, big
If
fella?
if you switch yours up, it'll be free.
I was thinking about making mine just Dave.
Fuck. No problem.
Also here with us is Just Dave, also known as Brandon, also known as the Most Glorious Ginger. Greetings, sir. Right before the show, you popped on and said, "Man, I look like shit." I don't think you look that bad, dude.
Hello,
You look
gentlemen.
fine.
Thank you. I must feel a lot worse than I look.
Did you take a nap after work today?
No, I wish I did.
Yeah.
I really wish I did. No, unfortunately, I didn't. I just had some dinner and doom scrolled for a bit before coming here. So, just the usual unwind process for the evening.
Nice.
But same old, boys. Same old.
What did
same
you
old,
eat for
so.
dinner? Maybe you ate too many carbs or something. It's got you weighed down a little bit.
I had, thanks, Ed. I appreciate it in chat. Saying I look good. I had to stop it. I had to divert my gaze for the compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had 3 chicken thighs, broccoli, and potatoes.
Okay.
So
How did you make these chicken thighs?
on the grill.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound. I mean, maybe the potatoes weighed you down a tad, but maybe your thyroid's messed up, Brandon.
Probably. I'm also a little bit tired, boys. I went to the gym for the first time in in a minute. I went with one of
Yeah.
the guys I work with, and he's been working out for a couple years, and he's like a little bit more built than me. And we didn't stay for an incredibly long time, but I was kind of, he would do some sets, I would do some sets, and I kept up with him. So I'm in a considerable amount of pain today.
Was this sorry? This was yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I'm going again tomorrow. So the idea is that I'm hoping we can go 3 days a week. I don't know how long he'll want to do it with me, but we did chest and tries yesterday. And so the backs of my arm and my titties are just burning.
I'd be actually
Burning
curious to
something
see how you feel tomorrow, because when I go a long time without working out, there's always like a 1 day delay before the real pain and suffering kicks in. Not to scare you or anything, but
No, it's
and actually going to the gym tomorrow might actually be the best thing if you are feeling that pain.
right,
So,
dude.
yeah.
Dude, back and buys tomorrow. So there'll be no time for the other things to hurt. We're just going to be switching it up. Thank you, Poot in chat. Appreciate it. Another compliment in the chat. I'm just getting flooded tonight.
I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights, and generally, like, a day or two after it hurts. But I'm going Monday. I'm hurting decently by Wednesday, but I go that night and it's fine. But then the problem is, on Friday I don't go again until Monday. So on Sunday I'm aching from Friday's workout, but I don't have any weight. Like, because normally when I go back and I start lifting something, I'm like, oh, my body's like flooded with whatever, mumbo jumbo that stuff is that makes you feel better because you're working out again. But I don't have that on Sunday. I do nothing on Sunday. So then by Monday, I'm like, I don't want to go back. But I make it through.
Nothing but lift the remote. And then Friday, I guess, is leg day, which I'm actually dreading. I'm gonna be stumbling into the weekend with shaking legs.
Why don't people like leg day? I've always liked leg day more than arm days or any other days. Honestly.
I don't know, because it's like I'm using them more than any other muscle except for my right arm. You know what I mean? I lift a lot with the right one. That's what I mean.
Sure.
Dominant arm. No. I'm just shit talking. But leg day, it's like I don't know, something about your arms being a little wobbly is one thing, but when you got to like make yourself upright, I think, and you're feeling it more because like you have to use it to stand. Like I don't have to use my arms. I could just walk around or I could sit. I don't have to use exactly, Dave. Thank you. It's like you have to use your legs at least for the most part. At least I do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how you boys get around for the day, but
I'm like those people in Wall-E. I just have like a thing a car that
those are on the off days. You just is like you're like, not only do I rest, I am completely just
I am immobile.
Yeah, I am not moving. That's like pure rest day.
Yeah, I my favorite thing to do, although it's very taxing, is swim. I swim every time I go to the gym. I'll work out first, then I'll swim, then I'll hit the steam room and then the shower. And sometimes I change up the order a little bit, but I'm always swimming, unless the pool's down for maintenance or something. And I'll tell you what, boys, there is nothing like swimming in an empty building all alone at 12:30 at night, or in the morning, I guess it is. It is both terrifying and exhilarating.
Because
nobody's there.
Their ears are perking up, and
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be that hard to break into the place, but like you do have to, if you want to get in normally without breaking down a door, and I guess if you're going to kill somebody, maybe you wouldn't care, but you have to have like a key fob. So like at least there's a decent record of who's there and when. But there is that little bit of thing in my head that's like, is there's nobody to help me if I drown?
Well, that's less of an axe murder. That's what I was thinking, Ben. It's like you go too hard, right, and you black out. And you fall in the pool, or like you're in the steam room and you pass out because you get too hot, and then you cook like a chicken.
See, I have things in place for the steam room. I have a very specified amount of time that I stay in. I oftentimes want to lean back and close my eyes. I never do.
Dude.
Because I know that I'll fall asleep. Because
You'll be like a
morning.
pecking golden duck. You ever see those golden ducks? That's what you'll be like. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You would be delicious, but don't do that.
And I don't. I for the pool though, there was one night when literally they fixed it the next day. It must have gone out like after the maintenance people were there that day or whatever, and there's windows in it. So like during the day it's lit, but in the pool the light was out. And the one night I went in there, and there was just like a little bit of light coming through the door from the hallway, and I was like, okay, I'm fine. But then once I got to the deep end, and I'm not scared of deep water normally, but once I got to the deep end, even though I've been in that pool dozens of times, it was so dark down there I couldn't see it. I'm like, what if something's down there?
What if something is down there, dude?
Like, I'm inside of this basement in this building in a pool that has closed entrances everywhere. There's nothing down there. But what if there was, because it was dark that night?
Dude, did you ever see about that little girl that got sucked into a tube in a pool?
I've heard that. I've
Dude.
heard that. My mom used to scare me with that when I'd go and sit on the bottom of the pool when I was a kid.
It's a tragic fucking story. It's literally some Final Destination shit. I'm not like making fun of it. Like, it's legitimately hearing the news of that happening in real life. Like, actually scared me a little bit to go into.
Wait, was that recent? Because my mom was telling me that story 30 years ago.
There was one like within the past couple years, bro.
This
Wow.
sounds like an urban legend, Brandon.
Bro, I'll Google it and send it to you.
Can we
later.
go back
It's
to the
tragic.
steam room for a second? Good, because
Yes.
I really don't want to Google that. But we were at a friend's cottage. Like
You don't
when
want
I was-
to. You don't want to Google little girl tube drown.
No, not at all.
Okay.
we were at a friend's cottage when I was in my early 20s, and it was a very boozy weekend. And you're in your early 20s, and you're at a cottage, and it's just what you do. They had a sauna at the beach, and I was playing this really stupid game where it wasn't even a game. It was very enjoyable. I would sit in the sauna, and because it was somebody's sauna on a private property, you could make it as sweltering as you wanted. There was no regulation in that thing. So we would make it really hot. I would drink a beer, and then I would run out into the water, and it was the most refreshing thing I'd ever felt in my life. But the problem is I did it about 6 times. And after like the 6th time, I'm like, I don't feel too good. And I went and laid down, and I don't think I slept, but it's more like about 3 hours of my life were just deleted. It was a lot like anesthesia, because I woke up and it was dark, and I had no idea what happened. I had no idea how I got there. Apparently people were checking on me all night, but this process of drinking alcohol, getting into a steam room, and then dropping my temperature that quickly and then repeating it just fried my brain. It was in retrospect kind of scary, but it felt good in the moment. So yeah,
Dave,
be careful with steam rooms.
Yeah. Like I said, I have regulation, and the steam room automatically shuts off after 15 minutes, even if you're still in there. So like worst case scenario, if something did happen. But Dave, the story you're telling sounds identical to a time we were in Boston, except for there was no sauna or lake. Like you just didn't know what happened the next day. I don't know. I'm just saying maybe you got a problem, Dave.
Maybe it's me, but this one involved a sauna. So
Honestly, Ben, does
Yeah.
the gym allow you to bring alcohol in there?
No.
That
Well,
would
I
make-
don't know. I've never asked.
That would make, dude. I would ask.
I don't want to.
Ask for. Say you're asking for a friend.
I will fall asleep. You can
Just
like rent out
imagine
their
just-
banquet hall, so maybe they would allow alcohol in there, I guess. But
Oh, that's a bad idea. I'm teasing.
yeah, I remember. Just sorry to go back to Dave's shame in Boston. The next day, he was like, "Yeah, I don't remember doing that." And I was like, "Well, I have a video." And Dave goes, "I don't want to see it." And I was like, "Okay."
Dude, that was some good fucking times, man. I
was an
miss
open
Boston,
bar. It
brother.
was an open
I
bar.
miss Boston, brother.
Yeah, open bar, top shelf. We were in a balcony. That was a bad combination, man.
Mr.
Anyway, this
Brightside.
is the HP podcast, a show about video games, working out, and getting drunk in Boston. You can support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/handsomefandom. We appreciate your support there. You can join for as little as $1 a month. That's less than a quarter an episode. You'd really be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't sign up. And we need your sign-ups because just paid some bills for the website, for the hosting, all that kind of stuff. So we appreciate it if you can help us out there. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. You're still welcome to listen. We still want to interact with you. But for those of you who want to help us out, we appreciate it. And if you just want to chill, you want to hang out with us, be as cool as we are, you can join the Discord at handsomefandom.com/Discord. Hang out with us there for free. You don't have to pay anything. By the way, that was not a guarantee that you'll be as cool as we were. It was just like that's a sales pitch
Join the motherfucking Discord.
for anybody who doesn't know how that works. Boys, there was a Nintendo Direct today. They announced it yesterday. It was both the Partner Showcase and Indie World, which meant Nintendo basically showed us nothing of their own. But we're going to talk about that. And I don't want to go through everything line by line. And there's a lot of stuff here that we already kind of knew about, but I'm sure they had some marketing deal in place or something. But I want to see what really stood out to you. Did you guys have anything that really tickled your fancy, so to speak? Dave, we'll start with you.
Sure. Thank you for sharing this information with me because I had no idea. But had a chance to kind of go through and see what was shown off, and I'll skip right to the indie stuff because, in my opinion, consuming the partner stuff from a Nintendo Direct is kind of like going to a steakhouse and ordering a salad. It's just not worth it. So there was some really cool stuff though shown in the indie. There's a game called Neva or Neva. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is from the same people who made Gris or Grease. Again, don't know how to pronounce that. Which was one of my favorite games of all time. I reviewed it for our website a long time ago and almost gave it a 10. And Neva is looking just as moving and obscure and beautiful as Gris was. If you told me it was a sequel, I'd believe you based on that trailer. So that's a game that I think is coming out later this year and looks really, really good. I think I loved about Gris is you could play that game in 2 hours, and that's all you needed. Like that's it was a cheap game, and it was beautiful, and you didn't want to put it down. And I'm hoping Neva is the same sort of thing. So that was a nice surprise today for sure.
I think that was one of those games. Gris was one of those games where, and by the way, I'm pretty sure we asked the developers how to say it, but it doesn't matter because I have no remembrance of their answer. I know they answered us, and I said it correct for a while, but I don't know what it is now. The thing about that game is that I remember being like, I don't really think this looks appealing, but like, it's coming from them. Like, it's got to be good. And then you played it and raved about it, so I had to check it out, and it's still one of my favorite games. You know, I don't know if it cracks the top 10 list of the last decade, but it's up there for sure. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm interested to see that as well. Brandon, anything tickle your fancy out here?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Shovel Knight the first time around, so the fact that they're coming out with, like, essentially a definitive edition with save states and pretty much all the DLC all in one is really cool. I don't know that I'll rebite on it. I mean, maybe, just for the sake of... I don't think I have all the characters, and depending on the price, it might just be worth it to kind of...
You don't have the treasure trove?
I don't think I do.
Really?
I don't think I do. I'd have to check. But yeah, that was pretty cool. There's also just some shit that I just want to shit talk real quick.
Yeah, please.
The anything related to Sims, like this My Sims chibi ass shit, I hate it. It gives me AIDS. I hate it.
You hate all the Sims in general, right? Like you hate. Okay.
I absolutely hate it. But on another high note, we're just gonna pop around here. Balatro, Ben.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's going on there, brother? We got some Vampire Survivors. We got some Among Us. Mm-hmm. We got The Witcher 3. We got Dave the Diver. That's pretty cool. I love some crossovers, and it's kind of cool with like kind of the format of that game that they can get some really interesting, cool cards that will like be thematic. I think that'll be a cool thing to like see how the cards relate to the game thematically, and how you'll be able to play them in.
I gotta be honest. They don't. So I. Excuse me. Wow. Give me 1 second.
Bless you, Ben.
Ben just took a swig.
Okay, we're back. That was not that was water. It's just in a Pupper's can koozie. I get my water out of the fridge and then stick it in this koozie, and it's surprising how much longer it keeps it cool, even though it's not a can. Anyway, so Balatro, yeah, I hopped into this. I only did one match earlier. And it's a free update. It's pretty cool. They call it the Friends of Jimbo. I'm not really sure I understand the reference there. Is the guy who made it named Jim?
Maybe it's like Carl.
Maybe it's Carl. Anyway, so yeah, basically there's the Vampire Survivors, Among Us, The Witcher 3, and Dave the Diver. Those are the 4 collaborations that go into this. And I guess the one, I don't know about the others, but at least the Witcher one came because like somebody at the studio was talking like to all of the other people about how great Balatro was, and they decided they reached out to them, I think. But anyway, basically you have these 4 collaborations, and each of them you can swap out your cards for that suit, and it's the face cards of that suit are each of those. So I went in and played around and activated all of them, and yeah, you get it's a cool different dynamic. You get people from Vampire Survivors. I think as I don't remember because Among Us is hearts. Dave the Diver is diamonds. The Witcher is spades. So that would make Vampire Survivors clubs. No one cared that much. Anyway, but yeah, it's cool just to see some different sprucing up. There's no real gameplay difference.
Oh, really?
Except
Okay.
you have different cards that I've noticed yet. I only played that one match. Maybe if you do a straight flush of Among Us cards, something happens in animation or something, but it's still the same basic game. There's nothing that changed other than some graphical updates, which is pretty cool. And they dropped another update recently that was pretty big, actually.
You get the Among Us flush. You get called sus in game.
Alex in chat says Jimbo is what the first Joker is called. I did not realize that, Alex.
Okay.
Thank you. So that's Friends of Jimbo. That makes sense a little bit. For me, that was actually going to be my first one because I did hop in, like I said, for about, 20, 30 minutes. Finished a run, got to the 7th ante, and died on the boss. Bummer. But the next thing, I'm sure you guys are never going to see this coming, that appealed to my interest. New Power Wash Simulator DLC.
Get out of my swamp.
I have 100%ed every piece of content they've put out, and I will do it again for Shrek.
I'll
A
do
donkey.
it again. I'll do it again.
Shrek is coming to Power Wash Simulator later this fall. Should be interesting. That's a big collaboration. Like they've had Alice in Wonderland, and they had Warhammer, and those are in Final Fantasy even. That's huge.
Halo.
But like, nothing is as big as Shrek is so far, which is crazy to think about. And it's funny. Colin, my boss, was talking in our staff Discord. He said, and he's a Power Wash Simulator fan. He's like, "This will be my first exposure to Shrek ever." Like he literally has
What?
no concept of what Shrek is.
Lord have mercy.
He just knows it's a big thing, and I think at this point, knowing Colin, it's probably like, well, I'm not gonna watch it now. It's been too long.
Dude, Shrek like superseded itself. Like it was always
Yeah.
popular even back in the day, but I feel like the memeing has like sent it into the stratosphere
Yeah.
completely. Not that it was ever
Mouth,
small.
Smash Mouth needed Shrek. Let's be honest. Have you seen the
R.I.P..
guy that Shrek is actually based on? Like a French
What?
guy from the early 1900s. He actually looks like Shrek. It's crazy. It's not
Really?
Shrek. Yeah.
Did you know that Chris Farley was the original voice of Shrek before he died?
No way.
Yes, there
Holy
is actually
fuck.
there is test footage out there
Wow.
of it.
Didn't know
I'll send it to you.
This
As
man
a
does
matter
look
of
like
fact-
Shrek.
I'm posting the link as well. I'm posting the link right now in the chat. If you're watching the replay of this, you can see it at this point in the show as well. Hopefully in the chat. I'll post it on both channels here. You got to check it out. It's Chris Farley was originally signed on to do this to be the voice of Shrek, and then it was Michael Myers who did it in a regular voice, and then he decided he needed to be Scottish. Guys, I'm full of Shrek lore, guys. All right.
Holy fuck. Did you see
The
the photo of the guy though?
No.
It's actually wild. He looks like a clay man.
Yeah, he's like a circus guy, and he actually had a very beautiful wife. It's kind of wild.
Must be nice.
Imagine that. I wonder if you get to clean the donkey while he's banging his dragon wife in the Power Wash Simulator game.
Probably, dude.
Bro, this guy is terrifying.
That's what I'm
know.
saying. He looks
He looks like him, doesn't he?
He does a little bit.
Yeah.
Looks like he's made of clay or something. I don't know.
Also,
It's
Dave, were
scary.
you implying that big ugly ogres can't have beautiful wives? Because I take offense to that.
No, it's just when I saw the thing, it was like he had a beautiful wife, and
Yeah.
they had a picture of them together, and it was like, oh, okay, this is
All right.
it's nice for him.
Dude, being funny gets you really far, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm 0 for 2 on that front. I mean, I'm just. What else,
want-
boys? Anything else?
I had Sea of Stars is getting free DLC. It was tricky to tell from the trailer. Like, I don't think this is going to be another 8 hours of story content, but it's something. I've been waiting to finish my playthrough of Sea of Stars because I want to rebuy the game on Switch. So this is just more of a reason for me to do that because free DLC is always good.
Yeah.
And the last one I'll just mention quickly is another indie game called Europa.
Yeah.
Which kind of had like a Breath of the Wild visual style, but it looks like it's got more of a focus on environmental puzzle solving. Soundtrack sounded really cool. Just looked like a fun, interesting, sort of touching kind of game. So your rowboat was the other one that stood out to me.
Nice. Brendan, anything else stand out to you?
No, man. I mean, it's all kind of run of the mill. I'm not like a huge Nintendo guy. Most of it kind of.
Well, none of this is
Didn't
Nintendo
really-
stuff, bro.
No, but like, it can easily be played on a Nintendo, I guess.
Sure.
And
It's framed in a Nintendo Direct, which
Yeah.
Brandon is allergic to.
and
Unless
also
it's-
like, no, go ahead.
unless it's Mario Kart DLC. Go ahead.
Right. Or Smash. But we're not getting either one of those. Maybe Mario Kart. But I was sad to see that Civ 7's coming to Switch. I guess that's good for some people, but
It's funny, we were just talking about that last week, and then we get this announcement.
yeah, go figure.
Two more things I want to mention. This is not new by any means. It has been out multiple places before, and I've played only a little bit of it, not enough to really be super into it because I don't know. I don't know if I get frustrated or just like Johnny Waffles is a big fan of this game, also known as Hulk Hogan. But Pizza Tower is coming to Switch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big hit last year.
Big hit for sure. It should have been bigger, honestly. The little bit of it I've played, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 hours. I'm like, this game should have blown up bigger than it did. But the last thing is, where is it? Oh yeah, the Castlevania Dominus Collection. I love Castlevania, but I never played any of these games. So this is the Castlevania games that were on the DS: Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, and Order of Ecclesia. And so I've never played any of these, and it's out for other platforms. I think PlayStation, Switch, and Steam. So I might give this a look because I love Castlevania. I played like the old ones, and then I played ones in like, I don't know, 2010-ish. Those weren't very good, but I'm think I'm gonna give this a look because I love those old games for sure.
Ben,
Yeah.
you were saying Pizza Tower should have got more recognition, but Pizza Tower currently has close to triple the amount of concurrent players that Concord has. So,
Wow. So it has like 300.
What a segue.
and in
amazing.
other news,
I didn't know how else to label this one, so I just wrote Concord ... mess
yeah,
because that's kind of what's going on here. I'm gonna read an article. No, I don't even know if I'm gonna read an article about it. Let's just talk about it. Concord, I talked about whenever the beta was out, and I said that I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It didn't change my world, but I wasn't going to pay $40 for it, and I didn't care about the characters. And that's still true. But Concord came out, and it's on PlayStation 5. It's also on Steam via PC via Steam. And the developers have said this week that they worked on it for about 8 years, which, boys, is a long time for any game. It's a really long time for a game that doesn't seem to be doing that well. Last I saw, the highest hit on the PlayStation charts was like in the 40s, something like that. And on Steam, I literally have the link here for the current Steam database to check the player count. 206. That's higher than it was when I put that link in there. Now, people are saying, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, or maybe they're right, they're wrong, that there are way more people playing this on PlayStation than there are on Steam. And I can understand that because PC players have many more games like this that they can play. It's more popular, I think, on PC. But for any new game to come out and have 206 concurrent players is not a good thing. For it to be a first-party PlayStation game is really, really, really bad. And I'm just curious what you guys think. Like, okay, so it's a hero shooter, I guess. It's $40. Nobody cared about the characters, but like, what's wrong? Because by all accounts, and people who are playing it are enjoying it, and when I played it, I enjoyed it. What happened to this game? Why is there no hype? Why is no one playing it? Why, presumably, did very few people buy it? Even if there's many, many times more people on PlayStation playing it, there are not enough people playing this game for them to ever make their money back. Dave, what do you think?
It's just that price tag is if you're releasing a game in this subgenre, which, you know, arena-based hero shooter, I think the market price has been set at free to play, and Sony, I think, made a massive misstep by putting a price tag on this game that is $40. The shitty part about this is the early adopters, who by all accounts are really enjoying this game, are the ones who are going to get shafted in the end, because Sony has shown an appetite for wanting to really have a space in the games as a service, and this is their first real kick at the can. So the only path forward for this game is PlayStation Plus. So this game is going to be free at some point on PlayStation Plus, or with a PlayStation Plus subscription. So I feel really bad for the early adopters who you know, put aside all the bad press and criticism that this game was getting and said, no, I'm putting down my $40 and I'm playing this game at launch, because like I don't think Sony's going to outright kill this game, but I just think the only path forward is for it to be on a subscription service, which is what should have happened in the first place. So I don't know, like I hear a lot of people complaining about obviously the price tag, but also like, you know, the character design is just so generic and unmemorable. And it's like, okay, I mean, that aside, it still could be a really fun game to play, which again, by all accounts, for people who are actually playing it, it is a decent game. So
yeah, it is. Yeah.
I don't know. It's really frustrating to see this kind of go down this way, because I really want to see what PlayStation, what Sony can really do in the games as a service arena. And this is just a really bad first attempt. And again, it's not because of the game itself, I don't think. It's just because of the choice of delivery. That $40 price tag just doesn't work in this market. So, and I'm sure people were telling the Sony execs, like, this game needs to be free. It's got to be free. Trust me, that's the way. And they just fingers in their ears, just like WB was with Suicide Squad, as others were saying. And it's really too bad. It is.
Brandon, what do you think about all this in general, but then also the idea that like this game, even if it were free, because on the free, well, it's hard to relate it to this, but the free beta weekend still topped out at like maybe 1,000 players on Steam. So even when people had the opportunity to try it for free, and when PlayStation Plus members had the opportunity to try it for free, apparently not that many people did. And now that it's out and it's $40, even less people are playing it, obviously, because they have to pay for it.
Right.
But do you think this would be a hit if it were free?
Not necessarily. No, I think you'd probably get more people playing it. I don't think the price tag is necessarily the problem. I think that definitely didn't help. I think that when you look to a similar story as this game, another online game that potentially has microtransactions in it is a game like Helldivers, right?
Yeah.
That was a paid game. Many people still pump money into that. That sold like hotcakes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just like marketing or what.
But are there other games like Helldivers that are free? I think that's the differentiation Dave was making.
True. You are right there. I don't know that the bullet in the nail in the coffin is necessarily the price tag, but I definitely don't think it helped whatsoever. I also think it's just kind of like an uninspiring game in general. For the most part, even if it is solid, like there's a million of them out there, as you're saying. And yeah, I just don't think that they did a good enough job saying, like, why should you play this? This is kind of what you said, Ben, whenever it first came out. It's like, even if it's solid, right, why would I play this over anything else? Like, why would I play this over something else I don't already own or something else that isn't free? And why would I not just wait 2 more weeks and try the open beta for Black Ops 6 instead of playing this? Like, I don't know. There's just so many other things that are around this right now that, like, I think it has a lot to do with the environment that it got released in, and kind of where we are right now with these type of games. It also took like exceptionally too long to develop for a game like this, as you said beforehand.
Definitely true.
I think that they are going to be paying dearly. Obviously, this would be a detrimental failure as far as any game in any development cycle goes. But having put 8 years worth of money into this, regardless of how many people were on your team, is a long time. Even if you have a 10-person team, and I highly doubt it was 10 people. So,
no, there's no way.
Yeah, it's just, It sucks to see because I'm kind of in agreement with Dave. Like I want Sony to succeed in the live action space. I want them to succeed in the shooter space. And by all accounts, I mean I kind of want to try this with the numbers that it's pushing. I don't think that it would be like fiscally responsible for me because I'm assuming it'll be shut down within like the next year if things don't change around. But yeah, I think a lot of things play into this. And to be honest with you, I think some of it has to do with how they kind of positioned it to the public and like the marketing probably in general. Like I feel like they could have done a better job. And with something like this that's new and not necessarily like the most unique, you should have tried to push it heavier in the marketing, like to get people to know what it is, to get people to know why it's different. Even if it's not that different. That's the magic of advertising. It's like, even if it's exactly the same, it's like, get people excited about it, right? And I don't feel like I've seen that much. I've certainly seen an ad or two for the game, but nothing out of this world. So,
Yeah, the two things in response to that. One I agree with, one I disagree with. One, you said about, like, you use Call of Duty Black Ops as an example. I understand that, but, like, I do think that there's a different market. Like, the people who play, for lack of something else to compare Concord to, Overwatch aren't necessarily... Some people are going to cross over, but, like, it's not the exact same market as Call of Duty.
right.
So I understand, like, yeah, maybe people aren't going to wait 2 weeks and play Call of Duty or whatever it is. I think there is a differentiation. I think there is a space in the market for a game like this, but it has to be better than this. The other thing is it just has there's no hook to it. It's like, here's these characters that you don't know or care about, and that sucks because I guarantee there were people who worked on them and made them their own. Those were their babies. Each character was somebody's baby probably, and like it must really suck for nobody to care about the characters you made. I'm sure that that's frustrating. But like, there's no hook to this game. It's literally, here's some game modes and here's some characters. They each have different abilities, but they're not endearing to me, at least to me. Apparently, not to a lot of other people. There's nothing about them that really made them stand out, and nothing about the game that separated it from every other game except that it was from PlayStation. The third thing is that I said two. I don't even know what I said at this point. I'm just talking. The other thing that really is interesting, you said about maybe in a year it'll be shut down. And normally I would agree with you if it were anybody else but a Sony first-party studio. I think because Sony has started all these projects in the live service space, they have to be incredibly careful right now. Because if they shut down their first real live service game in how long? If they shut that down, a year even is probably too little time. What's going to make you encouraged about their next live service game? Why would you want to, if they're not willing to support it longer than, hey, I paid $40 for this, I've bought skins, you shut it down in a year? Ain't no way. Like, they're not, I don't think they're going to do that. They may stop active development, whatever, but they'll keep the servers up, I think. I just think it sets such a, if they have more of these in the pipeline, and we know they do, hopefully not more of these, but they have more live service games in the pipeline, it really creates a trust barrier. It's like Google. When Google comes out with a new project, you're like, how long is it going to take till this gets shut down? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, whatever. But like, if I'm somebody who paid $40 for Concord, and then I paid maybe extra for skins or whatever, and then they shut it down in a year, and then you tell me your next live service game's coming out, I'm going to be like, nah.
Does anyone know if there's already like a battle pass in Concord?
I don't know for sure, but I think that was the plan. It's definitely set up for that thing, for that kind of thing.
I wonder if they would put the game on subscription service, launch a battle pass, and then give the people who paid the $40 a bunch of free stuff in the battle pass, and then that's their way to make nice with the early adopters, but then also hopefully get some more people playing this game in the long term.
Yeah.
Radic says no battle pass, by the way.
Yeah, that was the thing about this game, was that all the content post-launch is free. So that's what I said before the game came out. I said that's a good thing for the game. The people that are actually playing for it, everything going forward is going to be free for them. But apparently that wasn't enough to hook people in. Do they have like a decent roadmap? I was getting some like mixed results online. I mean, maybe that has something to do with it as well. Like, along with
that has nothing to do with it. No way.
I mean, it certainly doesn't help, is what I'm saying.
No, it doesn't help, but I don't think people are like, oh, I would play this, but I don't know what's coming in 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't think that's it. I got some comments here. One, I bet Sony regrets paying for that Concord episode and secret level. Oh yeah, there was a Concord. Looked like there was going to be a whole Concord episode in that secret level show that we talked about last week. There are 1 Concordillion players on PlayStation. Do you think Linux is the mascot PlayStation needs right now? I'm going to ask both of you point blank. Do you know who Linux is?
I had to Google it. It's
Yeah,
that.
I know who it is.
Dude. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know who it is. But the fact that you guys don't,
Is it the Drax looking guy?
No.
no.
It's the guy with all the spiky.
It's the guy that's supposed to be Star-Lord, but green and
Okay.
different.
Yeah.
Man, I don't see a lot of ads. I have Twitch Turbo, I have YouTube Premium, and I don't really see commercials or anything ever. But occasionally, still, if I'm scrolling through, I use an ad blocker for things I don't, whatever. But occasionally, I still see plenty of ads for different things. I've seen Star Wars Outlaws ads like crazy, but I don't think I've seen more than 1 ad for this game.
So I was actually going to say this could be like just lack of marketing, but I personally have
But why?
seen a decent amount of Concord
Okay.
advertisements in the past.
They're
2 weeks
appealing
or
to the
so.
Canadians.
So maybe it's a Canadian thing. I don't know, but they tried there, and then the secret level thing that you mentioned that's a cross promotion, and it's Sony trying, but again, it's just, and Destruction All Stars came up quite a bit in the chat there, and I think that's a pretty interesting comparison because there's 2 games that on arrival people were just kind of met on. One was free to play on subscription service and the other was $40. But Radic brings up a good point, is Destruction All Stars is still live. So that kind of proves your point a little bit more, Ben, about that, Sony will play the long game with this. And I think that's good, especially in this day and age, because we've seen countless examples of games that are quote unquote dead on arrival and then they have a second life. So I mean, there is a path forward for this game, and if Sony's willing to invest, and clearly the developers want to stick around and keep this thing going, then it's not necessarily the end of the line for Concord. So,
I agree with you and chat that brought this up. The only distinction I will make is that Destruction All Stars isn't first party. I think it's like a second party kind of thing. So they funded it, have exclusive rights to it, whatever. But the fact that it's not shut down is a good point, and I agree with that. But I also wonder, is that even Sony's decision at this point to keep those servers up or not? Let's see here. Ed says this has to get winded down so quick, pissing off all 12 people playing Concord right now. Doesn't seem like a chilling effect that reaches far enough. I'm not really sure the point he's making here, but I think my point stands that if they maybe he's agreeing here, but if they shut it down too early. And maybe this game isn't possibly making money, but maybe the metrics they're seeing on their side are like, wow, there's only 200 people playing this game, but all of them have spent $80 on it so far.
it's a skull and bones situation. And
No, it's not a Dave. Skull and Bones isn't a thing anymore. Okay. Destruction All Stars doesn't have a planned year of free content, does it? I have no idea.
Well, that's
No
what I'm
idea.
saying. Yeah. Also, guys, Foam Stars is going free to play now too, so maybe that is the play. Not that that's exactly a 1-to-1 by any means at all, but we see another game that didn't do very well go free to play, so that's probably the way forward. I mean, legitimately, just
Right.
get people in, make them not have to pay for a subscription, and then hope that everyone gets on the bandwagon. So.
Okay, I think we've beat Concord to death. Well, it's already dead, but I'm saying this legitimately. I actually legitimately hope that game picks up, and I hope that there is some good that comes from it. I hope at the very least those people don't all lose their jobs. Unless they're just bad at their jobs, then that's a different story. But I hope they don't lose their jobs just because the game didn't sell. Because even if this was the game they planned from the beginning, Sony bought this team for this game, apparently. And if they dump them that quickly, that's just Sony was implicit in this, even if they weren't the root cause for it. So let's move on here. Let's talk about the PlayStation 5 is getting a price increase in Japan. This comes from GameInfinus.com. I can't read the article because there we go. I did it in the wrong window. SIE has announced a significant price adjustment for PlayStation 5 consoles and associated peripherals in Japan. The new prices, which will take effect on September 2nd, reflect the challenges posed by the current global economic environment. This decision follows a similar trend observed in other regions where the rising costs have led to increased prices for gaming hardware. So the revised retail prices for the PlayStation 5 and its accessories are as follows. And basically the highlight here is that the PlayStation 5 will be about 80,000 yen. The digital edition will be about 73,000 yen. What's that equate to right now?
That's about $100 price increase.
Okay. 100, if you convert that, you mean that's about $100?
Yeah, so I converted it. But the thing is the article says with taxes included, so we'll call it $75, $80.
Sure, okay. And everything else is going, I mean, everything that they sell in Japan is going to go up. Now, it's really interesting that that's happening because of mostly of the fact that Japan is their home base, right? Like, that's where they have a huge fan base there. And we know that I saw another article that said Wukong was making PlayStation 5 sell out in China, and we know that that China obviously gets a lot of their stuff directly from Japan because you can't really get it as easily in China. But there's some numbers here. Japanese yen to United States dollar. About 6 months ago, let's even call it a year. About a year ago, the yen was like point zero. No, I'm sorry. It was about. I'm trying to figure out this math here. Almost a tenth of a dollar. A yen was almost a penny. Sorry. Am I right here? I'm really messing myself up. I'm bad at math and everything else.
I don't know, bro.
On this chart, it says year to date, yen to dollar, 0.0095. Now it's 0.006. So realistically, it's dropped about 30% in the last 6 months. That's real bad.
Yeah.
That's real bad. First of all, it's bad for the Japanese economy. It's bad for any other economies that rely on Japan. It's bad for our trades and everything else with Japan. Actually, it's good for us, but it is harmful in the long run, in my opinion. But that seems to me like to be the cause. But I want to know what you guys think. Is this indicative of something? Did PlayStation not market it high enough, or is it just because the yen is so weak now that they had no other choice? Because it is such a big market for them. Dave, you go first.
I certainly hope so. And to be honest, when I first read this article, my first thought of, okay, it's coming to Western markets. But if this is a tactic to deal with inflation in one specific market, then that's not necessarily going to be the case. It's also, as far as I can recall, unheard of to have a price increase on a console 4 years into a life cycle. So I can't imagine that this is going to be part of a larger strategy. It really wouldn't make any sense when we talk about the next piece of news that we're going to talk about, where you have your base console increasing in price by almost 100 Canuck bucks. So I hope this is an isolated issue. I suspect that most people who want a PlayStation 5 in Japan have bought one a long time ago. So I mean, it's not like they're increasing the price 1 year into the console's life cycle. So I think the fact that, they have an established install base in Japan of all places probably plays into this as well. But yeah, this is kind of a head scratcher, and I really hope it's just isolated to Japan. But yeah, I'm sure this has got to be the first time this has happened, or one of the first times we've seen an increase like this 4 years into a life cycle. Because we should be expecting drops by now, right?
Yeah, I would imagine that once we see the next news story, the PS5 Pro actually drop, we'll see a price increase, a permanent or a price decrease. Dave, you're right. 4 years into a cycle, we haven't seen this, but was it 2 years ago? About almost exactly 2 years ago, we saw a price increase in other regions for the PlayStation 5. And then shortly thereafter, the Xbox, I think maybe both consoles, it's S and X, but at least the X.
I was more referring to
but
previous generations.
Yeah, but I'm saying that was unprecedented.
Right.
For 2 years in, and now we're looking at 4 years in. It's absolutely insane. Brandon, any thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean,
I know you're
obviously,
big on economics and everything.
right? Yeah. It's definitely a little strange. I honestly think this is just, the growing pains or the pains of the world in general right now. Why the West has been spared yet again from the price increase, I find that interesting. Just from a business standpoint, I mean, that's what kind of makes me think that maybe it's a regional play, or maybe
Well,
it's a fiscal play. I don't know.
well,
It's
I mean, yeah, it's definitely that, but I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I did anyway. But
go ahead.
I think they base their prices and adjust them elsewhere based on based on that. But they base their prices for the North American market because it is their biggest market. There's there's plenty of numbers to back that one up. So like they base the numbers for here. So inflation around the world affects it more than the change of value of money in the U.S. or North America in general.
Right. So,
So
yeah, I mean, maybe it makes the most sense then in that case to just leave the the price alone for your biggest market. But I would imagine, like you guys said, I think that the majority of people that are interested in the PS5 have bought it. And we'll be talking about the Pro here shortly, but we might see a different shift once that
Yeah.
kind of rolls around. So,
well, we've edged long enough. Let's talk about the PS5 Pro. This is from Tech Alert 24, but I saw this lots of places. This is just the place I found the good article. It says, as the gaming world buzzes with excitement from Gamescom 2024, I don't know if it's buzzing, okay? Fresh rumors suggest that Sony might unveil its highly anticipated PlayStation 5 Pro. According to several insider reports, the upgraded console could be announced in the coming months, following a pattern similar to PS4 Pro's launch 3 years after the PlayStation 4. An Italian journalist attending Gamescom claims to have spoken with a game developer who hinted at a delay in their game's release due to the impending PS5 Pro launch. This suggests that the console's debut could be just around the corner. Similarly, sources from WCCF Tech confirmed that another developer attending the event shared similar sentiments, adding that the specs for PS5 Pro have already been provided to them. Lots and lots of more examples of other people saying that. The new console is rumored to boost a staggering 33.5 teraflops of GPU power,
whoa.
up from the PS5's 10.28, offering 4 times better ray tracing performance. The console is also expected to support 4K gaming at 60 frames per second across nearly all titles, with the capability to reach 4K and 120 FPS in select games. Brandon's shaking his head. He's reading my mind. That's not going to happen because the developers adjust to the performance of the machine. They don't adjust. They don't just make the game for the old, whatever. Anyway, there's probably a PS5 Pro coming. We've gotten enough signals about it. It follows their existing model. I want to know what you guys think. First of all, Brandon, you were the one who held out from your launch PS4. You never got a PS5 Pro or PS4
Right.
Pro.
Right.
You never even upgraded your PS4.
Right.
By the end of it, you put that thing out of its misery.
I did. God bless her.
And
She
by
rests
unplugging it. Yeah.
in a box.
But I want to know what you think. And this is less about, like, we know a PS5 Pro is coming eventually, right?
Right.
But one, what do you think about performance? And two, is it for you?
I want to say it's not for me, but there'll be certain games that would potentially prompt me to buy in early. I think that the whole specs thing is awesome. We always talk about the flops. I don't give a fuck about that. That's some like ethereal ass shit. I don't even know what that means. But as far as the whole 4K 60, like here's the thing: is we were almost like promised. What was it? 1080 60. We can't even reach barely 1080 60 on some of the games we have on PS5 as a native app. So like I highly doubt this is happening. We can talk all we want about specs, but 1440p or even 4K 60 probably is not going to be the case unless something insane happens. I just don't see the leap happening because we were told things about the base PS5 that didn't end up coming true anyway. And that has a lot to do with the games and the software. But I'm sure it also has a little bit to do with the overhead. So, yeah, I don't know. This is certainly interesting. I think something like GTA, specifically GTA 6, coming out and me not being able to play it on my PC for perceivably years, and potentially having to suffer through 30 frames per second on a PlayStation, if there was some sort of golden ticket where it was like, hey, we at least try to reach 60, I would maybe consider upgrading for just that game alone. Because
Give me
it's a game-
45,
dude, anything. Because the reality is that I'm not going to want to wait. Even if I rebuy GTA 6 on my PC when it comes out, I'm not going to want to wait. And that's the biggest game that I could possibly think of.
Yeah.
That would be something that I would consider upgrading for. And I don't want to. Like, genuinely, I do not want to. I will hold out. And I didn't care about 60 frames, really, when I had my PS4. Some games reach that. Not many. Barely any. But I didn't care about it then. But I care about it now. So it just depends on what comes out. And I'd really need to see what games will actually be affected by this. I'm going to be glued to Digital Foundry for the first 6 months of PlayStation 4 Pro to see if there's that much of a difference. And that will be the defining factor for me.
You're going to wait 6 months?
I mean, like I said, unless there's something that comes out that like tickles my fancy, like I don't have a reason to upgrade. I don't even hardly play on the thing anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the only thing I could possibly think of is this GTA, because I know factually, even if that's 2026, which probably will happen, if we're just going to be completely honest for GTA 6, that would be one of the only things where I'm like, I'm not waiting for PC on this. And I know it's not going to come out on PC right away. So,
Dave, 2 questions. 3 questions. What do you think about all this in general? 2, is the PS5 Pro for you? And 3, could it possibly live up to the Switch for your AAA gaming? And 4, are you going to go disc or discless?
There's this really obscure stat they use in baseball called WAR, and it's an acronym. It stands for wins above replacement. And I used to listen to this radio host who hosted this show that would come on after Toronto Blue Jays games called Jays Talk. And every single time he had a caller call in and quote WAR, he would cut them off immediately and say, "You cannot quote that stat unless you can explain it to me." So when I hear people talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro, I'm going to instantly like mute them in my head unless they can explain to me what PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution actually means, or 33.5 teraflops of graphic processing. Like, tell me what that means, and then I will listen to you and try and sell me on the PlayStation 5 Pro, because it's all just gubbins to me. I don't. There was a story that came out last week. I don't know if it's been made official yet, about Avowed being at 30 frames per second. I don't care, because 30 frames to me, 60. If you put them side by side on a screen, I will notice the difference, and I'll say, yes, I'd rather play 60 frames a second, but I don't play games side by side like that. So to me,
Wait, hold up. You can't tell the difference by looking at it?
I can, yes.
Okay.
But the point is I'm not playing games like 2 different versions of a game side by side, so the experience to me doesn't change. Like, yes, if I was given the option of Avowed 60 frames per second or Avowed 30 frames per second, I would naturally choose 60. But because the game comes in 30 frames per second, I'm not going to not play the game. Right. So what I'm trying to say is I don't care. This isn't stuff that I'm really too concerned about. And no, I won't be upgrading. And I just, there's been so few examples that we've seen of developers pushing this hardware, the PlayStation 5 hardware, that I don't understand the point of it. I do know the point of it. The point of it is that Sony sold a stupid amount of PlayStation 4 Pros because we're all idiots. So there's like, let's do it again, even though there's no real reason. So in my mind,
I don't know if they sold many of them.
Sorry?
I actually don't know that they sold many of them.
I think they sold enough that they see an opportunity here with this.
Still a couple million at the very least, yeah.
I think that the PlayStation 5 Pro needs to flop to send a message to Sony and the other hardware makers that you can't just throw a bunch of technical marketing speak in and trick us into buying a console a second time. I'm not saying it's the same console. I know there's going to be slight upgrades, but I think Digital Foundry has a pretty positive reputation amongst the gaming community, but in reality I think they're they are child rapists, because they are the ones who have made us think that there are
God.
advantages.
Jesus Christ!
They've ruined the world, and they put these things side by side, and they're like, this one's better, and it's like, yeah, but this is just not how we're consuming games. So I think Digital Foundry is they're neo-Nazis or something. PlayStation 5 Pro needs to fail. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, for legal reasons, that was all hyperbole, by the way.
Yeah, of course. And also, Dave, I got a pitch for you, okay? PS5 Pro Concord bundle. Pack in. Are you in day one?
Yes. That's all of me. Skull and bones. That's all I need.
Dave, you kind of stole my thunder there, and that's totally okay. I'm very happy you got it. That was a good thought process. So what I'd like to do right now is sit here and tell you that I will not buy a PlayStation 5 Pro. And the reasons are myriad. One, I don't really play my PlayStation that much. I play it for exclusives if I want to play it early, and I do. I want to play it when it comes out. I don't want to wait years or even months to play it because I'm a consumer, and that's what I want. And I'd like to tell you that I won't get it because I don't really believe in the increases that it's going to have to the extent that they say it's going to have. And I'd like to tell you I won't get it because there's only been a handful of games that have really even needed the PlayStation 5 to run. Maybe not most, but many of PlayStation's first-party games this generation so far have been PlayStation 4 as well. Maybe they look better, they play better, they load a little faster, sure. But I'm still not even convinced the PlayStation 5 is worth it. But I can't tell you any of that because the reality is it's going to come out and there's going to be that one thing. And I'm going to find myself getting it. And I'm going to look up the used prices on eBay for PlayStation 5s so that I can figure out how much it's actually going to cost me to get a PlayStation 5 Pro. I'm not strong enough to not do it eventually. Now, it won't be right away. I won't get it at pre-order. I won't get it at launch, most likely. Probably more like with Brandon, where it's going to take me a little while. I'm going to have to see a game that comes out and has notable increases on the PlayStation 5 Pro over the PlayStation 5. But I probably am going to get it eventually. I just know myself well enough to know.
Sell it to your kid. Dude, sell it to your kid.
I can't sell him for what it's worth.
Got to do him a solid, bud.
There's a story here. There's a story here. Josh, our buddy Josh, I upgraded my card, my graphics card for my computer. I moved to a 3060 Ti. I had a 2070 before that. 2070 Super, specifically. And I didn't sell it right away. It was like a decent price, but I didn't sell it right away because I got the 3060 Ti at a great price. It was at retail. And I got a couple months down the road, and that's when like all the stuff with COVID and everything started hitting, and GPU prices were going insane. And I'm looking at this GPU, I'm like, this thing is right now going on eBay for $1,200. It's not worth $1,200, but I can get $1,200 out of it. I think I'm going to do that. And our buddy Josh asked me, hey, do you have your 2070? Would you be willing to sell it to me? And I said, dude, I'm willing to sell it to you, but you're my friend. I can't sell it to you for what I want to sell it to you because I can make $1,000 more here over what it was worth 6 months ago. He's like, yeah, I understand. I appreciate it. You know, if you change your mind, let me know. I forgot about it and waited a year until the prices went back down and sold it to Josh for $150 because I couldn't sell it to him at full price. I wouldn't do it to a friend.
Buddy. You're fucking
so that's why I can't sell my kid a console at an inflated I would want to sell it to him for way cheaper. If I even sold it to him at all or just gave it to him.
Wait a minute. Is that the same card I wanted to buy from you?
No, you wanted to buy my 3060 Ti. Right. The one I upgraded to. Yeah. When I upgraded from that to my new computer.
Is a previous upgrade.
That was a previous upgrade, yeah. The 3060 Ti is in my wife and children's computer now. It's like their schoolroom computer. My kid hasn't figured it out yet, but it's not amazing. Like I really needed the processor to be better, like entirely for me to do any video editing for work, because I couldn't do it on that computer. But as far as gaming goes, my 10-year-old hasn't figured out. He could be running Fortnite right now at 110 frames, but he's still playing on the Switch.
Ben, I mean, I've got a 1070 here that will run his Roblox perfectly fine if we want to do a little switch.
I haven't let him play
really wanna play
Roblox
Hunt.
yet.
the switcheroo.
Can you not play Hunt on your current card?
No, especially
Damn.
not with the update.
Oh, they moved to Unreal 5, yeah.
Yeah.
That stinks. We got a lot of comments here.
Sorry, I feel like I need to apologize to Digital Foundry.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah, I apologize, Digital Foundry.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You don't apologize. Here's what I want to clarify for you. I will let you apologize to them, but I don't think you should or mean to apologize for what you said about them. It's the specific child molestation, child rapist thing.
Yeah, I don't think they do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you do think all the other bad things about them, that they have ruined our nation and our gaming culture. Okay.
Is it? They're like the games grading of graphical fidelity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I will say this in defense of Digital Foundry. I really appreciate what they do because it is helpful. I do like to see things and how they work, and I like to get into that. But I'm someone who can say, okay, well, this game, Digital Foundry says it runs like dog shit. I still want to play it. Like,
Right.
I'm not so impacted by their findings that it causes me not to play it. Because unlike you, Dave, if I see a game running at 30, I may still play it, but I'm going to notice it without seeing the 60 side by side. Like, if there's a 60 frames version, I want to play that, but I'm not going to be able to overlook the 30 frames in the other game. I'm going to be like, this is a great game, except that it runs like dog shit. I hate the way it looks.
Ben, just turn your TV smoothing on.
Okay.
Stand back.
Take care. Put it in
Really
game
far.
mode.
Yeah.
Ed says, I would buy a PS5 Pro like I did a PS4 Pro. It would cost me $60 to upgrade from base to Pro. Bro, I got to tell you guys, I think I've told this story multiple times. Walmart, please don't watch this. I found an hour from my house a Destiny 2 white PS5 Pro on their like clearance shelf. I drove there to get it. It was on like BrickSeek or something, and it was the regular price, like $400, $500, whatever. I looked at some of the list. It wasn't on their clearance shelf. I looked at some of the listings in the area, and the one in another town, 40 minutes in a different direction from me, had it for $120 or $150 because for some reason their SKU was different than the other store SKU, whatever. I thought, you know what? I'm going on a road trip. I already had to be in that other town that day, and I was like, I'm just going to leave earlier and make a diversion. I went and bought it for the $500-ish, whatever it was, full price at the time. I took it to the other store, returned it, told them I want to put it on a different credit card, which was not a lie. I did put it on a different credit card, which I use my credit cards like everybody else uses debit cards. I pay them off, whatever. Okay, it wasn't like I was going into debt for a PS5 Pro. But I drove to the other store, returned it, and they were like, anything wrong with that? I was like, I just want to put it on a different card. I returned it and then said, okay, now here's the card. And they put it back on, and the person goes, wow, it's cheaper than what you returned it for. And I said, look at that. And I bought it for $150. And then I sold my old PlayStation, my PlayStation 4. It was still worth over $200 at the time. I sold it to a guy here in town. So I actually made money, Ed. I beat you at your game. I made money upgrading to my PlayStation 4 Pro.
Wow.
And then God smited me by giving me a bum PS5 out of the box.
It's true. It's true. So Sony heard your discretions, and
Yes.
they personally picked you.
Yes. I did. I guess if you count the gas I spent, there's probably another $40 in there. It was probably like a full tank of gas I wasted, But $40 to save $300,
Can't beat it, buddy.
take it.
You cannot beat it.
I do appreciate their optimization guides for PC because I'm too stupid to realize the differences sometimes. I appreciate those as well.
Dude, they get into the nitty gritty though. Like some of the shit
Yeah.
is so abstract.
They're tricking you into upgrading a lot more than you need to.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. It's just when you have AIDS brain like me, where you're like, I need to run this at 400 frames, even though my monitor's got a 120 refresh rate.
It's over 9,000.
Someone asked if I'm wearing Bucky swag. I am. I'm wearing
Bussy.
Bucky swag. I know it's Bucky. Bussy's different.
Is it?
Digital Foundry is great, but humanity found fire and Oppenheimer created the atomic bomb. Humans are not meant to understand knowledge, etc., etc. Guys, is that all the stories I have here? That's all the stories. What have you been playing? Dave, let's start with you.
Yeah, I've been playing Alan Wake Remastered, and
Let's go.
This has been on my list since I think last year, Ben, when you spoke as highly as you did about the sequel to Alan Wake.
It's actually titled Alan Wake 2, believe it or not. It's crazy.
Alan Waker. Alan Woker.
Alan Wokest.
That's the third one.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I'm excited I'm finally jumping into this, and I mentioned this on your stream last week, Ben. Not only is this my first experience with Alan Wake, but this is my first Remedy game ever. I don't know how much of an interest I have in the other Remedy games, maybe Control, but yeah.
Please play
So
Control. Don't listen to Brandon.
I think what I like about what Remedy's done with this ecosystem of games is kind of made them their own little, they all have connections, and they're really subtle. And I think there was that Night Springs DLC that came to Alan Wake 2 that kind of pulled them together even more. I love that stuff. Anyway, so I'm not a huge horror guy. I'd like horror movies and video games, but I'm much more into the simple, give me zombies, give me ghosts, give me monsters and aliens and stuff like that. But I'm not too much into the psychological horror kind of subgenre. The reason I'm saying this is because I think Alan Wake kind of mixes the two. It deals with a lot of poltergeist and kind of darkness and dark monsters and stuff like that, but then it also kind of deals with Alan Wake's psyche as a writer who's experiencing writer's block, and there's a lot of stuff happening in the game that is it real, is it a nightmare, is it are these all within his own imagination? So I'm enjoying it because it's kind of walking two ropes there, two kind of parallels, and it's the setting in my mind is kind of the best thing about it. Having this game set mostly at night in the Pacific Northwest in a forest, and you're moving around dilapidated RV campsites and abandoned coal mines and lumber yards and all that. I think it's perfect for this kind of game. So I'm really digging it. I'm in the third chapter, just towards the end of the third chapter. So I think I'm about halfway through the game, and it hasn't gotten too weird yet. Things are starting to come together, but it's still really creepy. I'm enjoying the combat quite a bit. The way you kind of use your firearms in tandem with your flashlight or flares or flashbangs, which are so satisfying when you get a crowd of enemies around you and you throw a flashbang and they all kind of go pop. So I'm really liking that. The audio is really good too. This game does some really cool stuff with percussion. And I think audio in a horror game is so important, and I really think that Alan Wake did that really well. So, yeah, I'm really digging this game. I think there are two things that are kind of bothering me about it. One is there are a lot of collectibles in this game, and I'm not trying to get everything in the game from a collectible standpoint, but one of the collectibles are manuscripts, which are really cool because they provide additional context to some of the things that are happening within the game, and they also provide some foreshadowing to stuff that may happen next. And a lot of the manuscript pages are pretty easy to find, but not all of them are. And I'm finding that the levels themselves feel a little bit too big because I'm kind of messing with the pace of the game because I'm aimlessly zigzagging around empty spaces on the map to try and find all these manuscript pages. And I think that's kind of messing with the pace of the game for me. The other thing is this remaster, I was surprised to find came out in 2021, and maybe I'm kind of thinking it as a little bit more of a remake, which it really isn't. But because so much of the narrative of this game is delivered through cutscenes, the game hasn't really aged all that well, and I don't know that the remaster has really done enough to kind of update some of the visuals in the cutscenes. So there's some really emotional moments that are happening, and it's very 2010 motion capture graphics and facial animations and stuff that kind of take you out a little bit. So I think those are my two biggest gripes. But that second sort of gripe I had with the game is making me look forward to Alan Wake 2 even more, because that game
Yeah.
just came out last year, and I'm hoping the story is going to kind of keep its hooks into me, and I want to jump right into Alan Wake 2 once I'm done this game. But
Hell yeah.
yeah, I'm loving Alan Wake so far, and again, we're coming up to spooky season here, and you guys know I love a good spooky game in and around Halloween, so I think we're kicking things off right. So yeah.
Dave, does the Alan Wake remastered, is it called remastered?
Remastered, yeah.
Okay. Does Alan Wake remastered, does it have the DLCs from the original game included?
It does.
I would strongly encourage you to play them, mostly because of a lore perspective. They're good too, like they're fun. But if you like Alan Wake, before you play Alan Wake 2, I would strongly encourage you to play those DLCs. And I think that there's some debate about whether the American Nightmare one is 100% canon. I think in the world of Alan Wake, you can say that it was canon and it was changed. Like, it's a whole thing. And then if you ever do play Control, the DLC there, the AWE DLC, delves pretty deep into the Alan Wake stuff. And then that stuff comes into play in Alan Wake 2, of course, as well. So
Cool.
I would give it a strong recommend to play the DLC. None of them are very long, and they're very good.
Nice.
And then Alan Wake 2, I honestly think Alan Wake 2 was a better game in every way, even though I absolutely loved Alan Wake when I played it in 2013-ish or so, 2010, I don't know, somewhere in there. I thought it was phenomenal, and I loved Alan Wake 2 even more. Some people didn't like the fact that there were multiple protagonists. Some people didn't love. There was a little bit different combat, but I thought like the tone, the story, the lore, everything was beautifully done. Beautifully done. So I'm very excited for you to wrap it up and let me know. I mean, I don't want you to rush through it, but I'm excited to hear what you think at the end, is what I'm saying.
Cool.
One of my maybe even my favorite game from last year. I think I recently on the podcast called it my favorite game from last year. And I'm going to stick to that now until there's another answer that I think of. Anything else, Dave?
I did have something else, so I'll probably talk about that next week, so we can just move along.
Okay. Brandon.
Yeah. Yeah, so all I've really played, I've played a little bit more Delta Force. Still just really enjoying that.
You played like another 20 hours of Delta Force.
Yeah.
Now imagine if you played 20 hours of Red Dead Redemption, Brandon.
Now imagine, I don't have to imagine, brother. So I'm almost done with Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm in chapter 6.
He's rushing through it as fast as he can.
Not really. I mean, I put in
Okay.
fucking like a lot of hours. I played like all day Sunday, like literally all fucking day. But yeah, man, I'm in chapter 6, and it's crazy because like having played through this game before a couple times, I never made it past chapter 3 in either one of my playthroughs, and in both of the other playthroughs, I was being incredibly thorough with doing other things, right? And I feel like the story didn't hook me as well, and I got burnt out with those other things. But I really wish genuinely I would have kept going back then, even originally when it came out, because I can confidently say that chapter 4, chapter 5, and what I have done of chapter 6, which is, from what I understand, about half of it, I'm getting pretty close to, some bad things happening, some characters developing, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, man, it's just 4, 5, and 6, crazy. There's some stuff that I never got spoiled for me somehow about these chapters.
Wow. Yeah.
I have no idea how. Some locations that I never knew you would visit were really interesting, to go to different scenic places. I know, this is all old hat, but like this is new for me. Like the pacing was so good in these chapters, and it really like it was more quaint and like wholesome in the first 3 chapters. Now it's a gang, you kill people, but like chapter 4,
wholesome killing.
yeah, 4, 5, and 6 are like bang, 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 and especially in chapter 6, man, I am seeing some like insane shit. Just the slow decline of the morale of the gang, losing members, the slow, not even the morale of the gang, the morality of the gang.
Yeah.
Not like it was ever moral to begin with. That's, I want to make that clear, but like some really, really crazy shit. And just to see,
I think there is some morality in that gang. But,
There is
but
some.
Your point stands. Yes.
there is some. But I won't get too into it. And I know this is like an old game, but I hate spoiling things for people because I was a person that last week didn't know this stuff. But just to kind of see, let's say, the change in Dutch, and him being kind of the pillar head for this gang, which like ripples out into the rest of the gang, is really, really crazy to see. And I'm like feeling emotions playing this game, which is really cool. And kind of, where Arthur's going, if you know where he's going in chapter 6, kind of to see his character growth and how he even views things differently. Like I played a mission last night on stream where he was kind of like reflecting on how he felt about something. And he was like, a month or two ago, I would have thought this person that I interacted with, I would have thought completely differently about them. And I'm not going to spoil it, but like just to like having played it and played as Arthur, agreeing that he would have felt differently maybe a month or two about something, and how like he has a perspective change mid-game as you go through this story with him. It's so cool, man. And I'm really, really enjoying it. I got to finish out chapter 6, and then from what I understand, the epilogue is only about 6 or 7 hours. So I've got the majority of the game done now, and it just keeps getting better, legit. I will say I wouldn't say I'm rushing through, but I feel like I was super eager to keep going, and that's kind of why I played so much recently, is that these past couple chapters, like, they've been building for me, and I've just not wanted to stop. So, yeah, man. Obviously,
Brandon,
I'm like singing the praises of like one of the best games of all time. Like I get it, and me having trouble getting back into it wasn't a testament to the game. It was a testament to my attention span and where I am in life. But this game's awesome, and I'm just really glad to have gotten to play it. And I kind of just wish I would have played it sooner. So
yeah. Brandon, a couple things. One, yes, it is the best game, one of the best games of all time for sure. The other thing is, you've always said you're more of a gameplay over story guy. Yeah. And while it certainly has great gameplay, the story is where this game shines. Do you think maybe it's a turning point for you?
That's just the thing, is that I always joke about that. It's like in jest, we're like, we're not like playing characters, but I'm like, I have more nuanced opinions that I can sometimes say on the podcast, right? But not many games can always draw it out of me, and the story in this game is so good that it's one that I feel engaged constantly with, especially towards the end. And with someone with a little bit of a shorter attention span, I feel like games really have to either pique my interest or have to be like super quality in a way that attracts my attention. So this game has both. It's not only a super quality story, but it's engaging in all ways. So.
And without going into anything specific, you mentioned you hadn't been spoiled on the things up to the point you're at now. Mm-hmm. Are there things in the game that you've been spoiled on?
Yeah.
That come later, perhaps? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, I'd say maybe one of the biggest things that happens was spoiled for me by my father, actually. So
yeah.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
I will tell you that whatever the spoiler is, whatever it is, in that game, the journey is always worth it. Right. There are so many games that if I even get a whiff of something, I'm like, man, like now I don't even want to play this. And I got spoiled on that game, and I still love the hell out of it. It was so good. So
yeah, absolutely.
Is that it? Anything else?
No, that's it, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk much more about Delta Force. I've had a great time playing with you, Ben. I'm looking forward to playing again this week. This game is way deeper than we're even scratching the surface on, and I'm looking forward to continuing to play it. So
nice. Yeah, Delta Force is up there for me. I love extraction shooters, and this one is doing everything really well, and I'm really excited to see where it goes when it fully releases, let alone when it comes in early access. I talked about Warhammer Space Marine last week. I finished it up, maybe like one more sitting after I talked about it, and like I want to say like another hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And I had started, I don't think I mentioned this, I started playing this game on my Steam Deck, and then I ended up switching over to PC, not because it wasn't good on Steam Deck, just because I was at my PC and was able to, which is great, by the way, with the Steam Cloud save and everything. It was a perfect transition, didn't have to even think about it. But the game is so good. It gets a little long in the tooth towards the end of it, but it's just a good old fashioned fun, early 2000s, not even that early 2000s, but 10, 15 years ago, romp. Lots of Gear of War comparisons can be made, for sure, that are probably accurate. And the game is really making me like seeing how good that game was, and then going in after. And I mean, I had played it back in the day too, and I loved it then, but I didn't quite understand that I loved it because there were so many games of that similar ilk that were just like fun, shoot, gore, short games. You don't have those much anymore, and just going back and playing it again made me be like, oh yeah, I remember lots of games that were similar to this and really enjoying them. So I'm excited for Space Marine 2. I'm planning on playing it. They have like an early access that's another $30 or $40. You get 3 days. I'm not getting that, but I'm there day one, actual release date for it. I'm going to play it, and I think I'm going to do some of the co-op, or probably we'll play the whole thing co-op with my friend Brad, and he's looking forward to it as well. And they've just announced like a roadmap, I guess is the word. Yeah, like a roadmap for content for it. And they've got some DLC already they're talking about and planned. And some of it free, most of it free, it looked like. So I'm really pumped for it. It's going to be a good time. The other two things, one is Black Myth Wukong. I've been playing, I only did one session of this, so I think I played like 3 or 4 hours when I played it. And I'm really enjoying it. I kept saying like, okay, after this boss, I'm gonna be done. And then I finished that one. I was like, let me just run up to the next one. And it's nice because there's not a lot of, at least in the first chapter. I'm about 2/3 of the way through the chapter. I downloaded the boss list so I could just mark them off as I go, and because I just like seeing the progression. But there's not a lot in between the bosses, which I think can be a detriment to this game. But it's not for me because I like just boss fights. Like that's fun. You play the game to get to the boss a lot of times, and that's what I'm having fun here doing.
I can't be 100% certain, but I think and someone in chat or Discord can correct me. I think someone said the first chapter is a lot like that, though.
What,
it might,
yeah.
Said.
Yeah.
The first chapter is super linear, and then it opens up. Yeah. But I'm having fun with it. I think I've beat 5 bosses, a combination of progression bosses and optional bosses. But I've beat everybody I've come to so far, and that's been fun. And I'm gonna keep playing it for now, until I get to a point where I can't do it anymore, I guess. And then the last thing is I've been getting really into Hunt Showdown over the last week. I mentioned it, I think, briefly last week. I played this game, I want to say it was 3 or 4 years ago. Dustin actually bought it for me. It was on like deep discount, and he wanted to play, so he bought me a copy. We hopped in for a little bit. We didn't really know what we were doing. Then I played with my friend Justin a little while back, and we got into it, and then played a few matches and got out of it. And this week I've just really wanted to play. They just did that big update where they moved everything over to Unreal 5, and that has been really good for the game, I guess. I don't know enough about the old engine to really talk about it much, but for those who aren't familiar, Hunt Showdown, that's basically, it's an extraction shooter, to say the least. You go in with a team of 1, 2, or 3 against either teams of 1, 2, or 3, and you go in, you find bounties, you kill PvE. There's lots of sound traps and alerts, and sound's a really big thing in this game where you want to know exactly where other people are, and you want to hear where their shots are coming from, and you want to hear if they disturb birds or there's a monster that they disturb. It's set like in the Old West. And then you go and you collect bounties, and then PvP is part of this game. Like that is 100% a piece of this game. It's not just you couldn't just get away with, you probably could just get away with doing PvE in this game if you were really sneaky. But basically you continue to upgrade your hunter that you go in with. You give them more skills, they earn more things. And then once you lose one, they're dead. They're just gone, and you have to buy another one. And so you use up your currency that way as well. There are some free hunters available. If you get totally stuck, you can get one, but the paid hunters are better. Paid in-game currency, not real money, are better for sure. You select the loadout, you go in, you mess stuff up, you get out, and hopefully you can extract. So it's a ton of fun. It's very different because every gun is like, from the 1890s or before that. There's no automatic weapons. There's no, bombastic things happening. It's just a lot of times single shot guns. Maybe you toss a grenade in there or something. or a 1890s representation of a grenade, and you got to be pretty accurate, and you've got to be smart. You got to listen, you got to look, you got to do everything right, and it can be pretty brutal, if I'm being honest. But that's a lot of fun. This is a 6-year-old game. They just reinvigorated it. It's doing really well right now, and I'm excited to get back to it. Basically every day I want to play it right now. I haven't been playing it every day, but basically every day I want to play it, which is a good and terrible thing for me, because I will play it every day, given the opportunity. That's it for me. That's all I got to say. This is a long episode, boys.
Yeah, that's it for the show, bud.
We appreciate everybody hanging out. Don't forget to support us on Patreon, at patreon.com/handsomephantom. We appreciate everybody who's over there, as well as everybody who's over at the Discord, handsomephantom.com/discord. We're gonna figure out the title of the show here. If you want to watch us live, be here on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Eastern. Ben is Handsome and HP, the Handsome Phantom YouTube channels. You can find us both there. And of course, we're on audio for free feeds every Thursday morning. Usually audio for paid feeds, for Patreon feeds, Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, early Tuesday or Wednesday morning. We appreciate everybody, and we'll talk to you next time. All right, we need a name for this thing. Where's Poot when you need him?
Let me think. Concord.
Concord.
That's good.
Cool. That's it.
That's all she wrote, boys.
Typical Poot, it says. Poot's like, I'm going to be there this week. And if I had Nitro, I would have put a doubt emoji on it. He was here earlier. He was for a moment. He came in, said something, and then left just so he could say he was here.
He complimented me.
I know.
Honestly,
he knew it would make an impact.
I forgive him.
Okay, that's fair.
Ben might not forgive you. I forgive you.
I forgive him. I don't care. I just knew he was going to get distracted. Tomorrow he'll listen to the rest of it. He won't hear this unless he watches it on YouTube, because I cut the part after we finish out. It's the whole thing. All right, let's get out of here, boys. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.